Burrows is fresh. Knocked the puck loose for Edler. Back in for Alex Burrows. It's up in the air. Scores! Kevin Bieksa. And the Vancouver Canucks are off to the Stanley Cup Finals. That's the audio that I heard while I was cutting my nails on the night of... When the heck was that game? May 24th, 2011. It was past my bedtime, I was only 10, turning 11 years old, and I was watching the Canucks. Kevin Bieksa scored the most important goal that the team had seen in a very long time, sending them to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time since 1994. Bieksa had another really good play later on in that run, wherein he centered the puck off the end boards to Maxime Lapierre in Game 5 against Boston, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today is special because it was Kevin Bieksa retirement day, wherein he signed a one-day contract to participate with the team in practice, do a media scrum, give the fans something to cheer about as they celebrated him before the game began, and of course it had to be on November 3rd, it happens to be his number, and it was a game between the Canucks and the Anaheim Ducks, the only two teams that Bieksa actually played for. You had seen on Instagram and Twitter the video of Bieksa in the Canucks locker room before the game, or yeah, I think it's before the game, sometime before the practice, and he gives a really good motivational speech about how the Canucks back in 2011 had guys like the Sedins and Kessler and Burrows all holding each other accountable and all trying to do what it takes to be the best pros that they can be. That's the type of wake-up call I think the Vancouver Canucks of 22-23 needed, and Bieksa went out there and gave it to them straight. Maybe that sort of TED Talk resonated with them to the point that they were able to apply a lot of those lessons immediately, but if it did, I wouldn't be surprised, because hey, the Vancouver Canucks go out there and they beat the Ducks 8-5, and this was a crazy, crazy game, especially in that third period. Because heading into the third, the score was, I believe it was like 3-1, no, 3-2 or something like that. The game ends 8-5. So not only do the Vancouver Canucks score 5 goals in the third, but the Ducks score 3 themselves. So this definitely gave the fantasy hockey folks, aka me, something to cheer about, because today, guess what I did? I scratched Jack Hughes in favor of Nazem Kadri and Bo Horvat. The Devils beat the Oilers, but Jack Hughes ultimately did not do too much. Nazem Kadri got himself a very small amount of points because of the shots on goal, and Bo Horvat went out there and dominated. Not to mention the other Vancouver Canuck I have in my lineup, Andrei Kuzmenko, who I dropped Valeri Nichushkin in order to pick up. This was a beautiful game, not just because of my fantasy team and the guys that I'm cheering for to do well, but because of all the goals that we had seen and just the offensive prowess. Because of course, Anaheim is a bad team this year, Vancouver is a bad team this year. Spencer Martin has had a point in every single game that he's played, and he comes away with a big 2 points right here, even though he ultimately goes out there and lets in 5 goals on 31 shots. He has an .839 save percentage, it's not great, but he gets the win at the end of the day, and ultimately the Canucks are the ones that come out laughing because Andrei Kuzmenko had 3 goals and an assist, Bo Horvat had 2 goals and an assist, not to mention Elias Pettersson, who went out there with 5 points himself. A goal and 4 assists. Oh my goodness, man. Elias Pettersson is so freaking good. And he played one of his best games ever today. Now, the thing is, I don't want to go out there and just go through the entire game notes that I have, because that normally takes a really long time. We literally have 13 goals to talk about here, so if we spend like a minute per goal, that's already over our threshold, and there still are other things that I wanted to talk about here. So let's just go over to the goals themselves and talk about Troy Terry getting on the board in the last few minutes of the first period. The Vancouver Canucks get themselves a penalty. It's OEL for tripping. Troy Terry cuts in off the left wing, dekes to the forehand, and beats Spencer Martin. Martin honestly had been pretty good up to that point, but it was a very nice play by arguably the best player on the Anaheim Ducks. The Canucks then respond later as Comtois goes to the box for tripping. It's Quinn Hughes with a long slap shot, and it's tipped in by Bo freaking Horvat. Very nice play there. Good to see Quinn Hughes getting up on the board once again. Responding in the last 20 seconds of the first period, it's Bo Horvat with his 9th on the season, tying things up 1-1. Then, at the halfway point of the game, guess what? It's Elias Pettersson who scores from Mikheyev and Kuzmenko. Petey is all by himself right in front, and he's able to tuck it in right by the goalie. He falls down afterwards, but it's okay because the Canucks have the lead. There were a huge amount of chances, actually, in this part of the game. Pettersson had a beauty cross crease to Mikheyev. That didn't go in. Bo Horvat almost scored right after the Pettersson goal. Then you give it a few more minutes, and it's Quinn Hughes who takes a long shot on goal. The big rebound is right there. Bo Horvat picks it up on the side and throws it back in front for J.T. Miller to bury it in on the open goal. It's 3-1 Vancouver with 7 minutes to go here in the second period. And then in the last minute of the second, it's Ryan Strome. A very beautiful passing play by Terry, who drops it off to Zegras. Zegras goes over to Strome, who shoots it and scores it. Top cheese, short side snipe on Martin. You could kind of see that Martin was sort of cheating for the pass there. It's ultimately 3-2 at the end of the second period. And then the third comes along, and that's where things get crazy. Dakota Joshua, who earlier in the game to kick things off had a fight with Nathan Beaulieu, gets things on the board 5 minutes in. He's fighting it out with John Klingberg behind the Anaheim net for possession of the puck. Joshua falls down and then plays the puck out in front before coming back into the play and just burying in that open rebound. It's assisted by Nils Oman. There was a challenge for goaltender interference. It was ultimately called not interference, so the Canucks got themselves the power play afterwards, and on this power play, we get ourselves a goal from Andrei Kuzmenko. It's Hughes who goes over to Petey. Petey walks right in, he sees the open lane, he does not shoot on Gibson, who is expecting the shot, and he goes backdoor right to Kuzmenko, who gets his fourth on the season. It's 5-2 Vancouver. And then the Ducks score 2. Maxime Comtois gets a breakaway because Riley Stillman at the Anaheim Ducks blue line ends up pinching in. Very bad defensive read there. It gives up an open lane for Comtois to get right by. He's beaten Hughes out to the puck. He beats Martin by deking over to the backhand. At this point, it's 5-3. Give it a few minutes later, and guess what? The Ducks go on the power play. And this doesn't look good. It's Dakota Joshua to the box for tripping. And Zegras takes a long wrist shot, and it scores. It goes in off of Ethan Bear's glove, I think. It's 5-4 with 7 minutes to go here. And then things get crazy, because the very next shift, you have yourselves Elias Pettersson, who's driving right in. He throws it over to Kuzmenko to get a shot on, but Kuzmenko gets checked from behind. Eventually, Pettersson chases the puck into the corner, throws it back to the point. Myers takes it, winds up, slaps it down, and it's tipped in by Andrei Kuzmenko. He gets his second goal of the game, restoring the Canucks lead to 2 goals, and everything looks amazing. You could see the guy's celebration. He's so happy to get a legit goal that isn't just a tap-in. He tips it in beautifully, makes it 6-4, and then 2 minutes later, Pettersson throws it into the middle for Kuzmenko, who has some room to come right in and snipe it. 5-hole on John Gibson. Kuzmenko gets 2 goals in the span of 2 minutes and 3 goals in the span of, what is that, 11 minutes? Or 10 minutes and 52 seconds, something like that. Andrei Kuzmenko gets a hat trick here. Pettersson assisted on all the goals that Kuzmenko had scored. And then you have some extra goals after. It's Max Jones who gets a very weird one, his first on the year, by pretty much just camping out in the blue paint as Beaulieu throws it into the crease. It goes off of Jones and in. And then Bo Horvat, on the shorthanded goal because he had yourselves a penalty taken by Connor Garland, throws it into the empty net from his side of center. The Vancouver Canucks take this one 8-5. It's a crazy game, and now Bo Horvat is tied with Erik Karlsson for second in the league in total goals, only behind Connor McDavid. He has 13, so he's really good. Bo's got 10. Andrei Kuzmenko had himself a great game here today with the amount of production he was able to get. Obviously, Pettersson with his 5 points is amazing, and he definitely was the best player on the ice. We needed a game like this out of Elias Pettersson, where he just finds ways to convert over and over and over again, because he's been good. He's been very good the whole season, but finally getting a game like this, where you see the points come on the board because of that, oh man, that's got to be so vindicating. He's at 15 points in 11 games played over here. One of the top 10 players in the NHL in total points. So, the Vancouver Canucks are getting their guys on the board here, and I gotta thank my big number 3 in the rafters, not in the rafters, in the suite of Rogers Arena, for giving the Canucks, giving the boys the mojo, the motivation, and the overall drive to be able to do this on this day. 8-5 is your final score here. Thank you to Andrei Kuzmenko for getting all the goals, and Bo Horvat, thank you for the points. 7 points on the night shared between those guys. I'm going up against John from Hot Take Hockey this week in fantasy, and yeah, I'm doing pretty well so far in the first few days of the week, and this game right here really did help me out. So thank you so much, Canucks, for getting points and scoring goals, making things fun for once. Talk to the comments your thoughts about this game. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 9, and bye.